We are joined by some family members as well, who we will speak about in a few moments. We're here today to announce a homicide charge for a killing that took place in Perry County in 1983, more than 34 years ago. Carl Rodgers, as you heard a moment ago from the lieutenant, was arrested yesterday and charged with the murder of his wife, Deborah Jane Rodgers. There is no statute of limitation on murder, and Mr. Rodgers is facing a life sentence. For more than 3 decades, the family and friends of Deborah Jane Rodgers have sought justice and have wondered if this day would ever come. To the family of Deborah Jane Rodgers, who they affectionately refer to as Deb, some of whom, as I said, are here today, our message is clear. We have sought and we are seeking justice for Deborah Jane. I want to tell you a little bit about Deb. She was 23 years old at the time of her death, living with her husband Carl and their then 5-year-old daughter. They were living in a trailer on the Rodgers family farm right here in Perry County, Pennsylvania. Deborah was progressing in her career, working at the Little Buffalo State Park near her home. She had recently applied for a new job with the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, which would mean a pay increase for her and the family. On the night of April 22nd, 1983, Deborah returned home late from work at the state park. She argued with her husband that night about her job. Rodgers later would claim, Carl Rodgers that is, would later claim, that his wife was frustrated that she wasn't learning her job quickly enough and was upset with her performance. The following day, April 23rd, Carl Rodgers told Deb's family members that she had gone missing. Carl Rodgers told Deborah's family that she was depressed over her job, to the point of actually contemplating suicide. That was completely at odds with how her family and coworkers saw her and knew her at that time. Carl Rodgers led Deborah's family on a search party for Deborah into the state forest along a remote, heavily wooded access road. Carl Rodgers led Deb's family directly to a place in the forest where they found Deborah's abandoned car. They did not find Deborah and eventually called off the search for the night. Deborah's brother David said that Carl Rodgers refused to leave Deborah's car in the forest that night, although it was cold and her family feared that she wouldn't be able to get back home if she came for her car, and it was gone. However, Carl insisted on driving the car to the farm. The next day, family members returned to the forest. Carl suggested that he and Deborah's brother Mark search near a ridgeline in the forest where the other family members searched the woods below. A short time later, Deborah's mother discovered her body in the woods below. A coroner's report would later determine that Deborah died of blunt force trauma to the head and torso, but investigators noted deep gashes in both of her wrists to make it appear that the death was actually a suicide and play into Carl's narrative of a troubled young wife. Deborah's body was found several hundred yards from where her car was located. Her shirt was actually pulled halfway up her torso, as though she had been dragged from where she was found. A knife was located about 15 feet from her body, its sheath a few feet away, bearing the name Carl. Following this discovery, Carl Rodgers then proceeded to give inconsistent statements to law enforcement for several years about the night of her disappearance. No one was charged at the time with her murder.